Evet, bugün 20 Kasım 2011. Houston NASA Kennedy Uzay Merkezi'ndeyiz. Şu anda Mission Control Center denen uzay uçuşlarının kontrol edildiği merkezlerden bir tanesindeyiz.
All the way to your right hand side, please, guys. All the way over.
Evet, karşıdaki ekranda Mission Control Center yazan ana 3 tane ekranın sol üsttekinde GMT 324 onun altında 27 andak geri sayıyor. Demek ki uzay aracının kenetlenmesi ve kenetlenmeden kurtulup çıkması için 1 gün 4 saat 51 dakika 7 saniye kalmış. Crew Sleep yazıyor hemen altında, okuyabiliyorsanız sol üstte. Bu sarı turuncu yazılarda 4 saat 53 dakika 57 saniye diyor. Artık uzay aracındaki vatandaşlar, astronotlar uyuyorlar mı? Uyumalarına mı bu kadar zaman kaldı? Bununla ilgili bir veri var. Sağ tarafa baktığımızda
You have to sit over here, Trevor. You can't see anything, honey, so get over here. Yeah. You can sit down.
All right, good afternoon, folks. How is everybody doing today?
Good.
That's wonderful to hear. My name's Elizabeth, and I'm going to be your host while we're in this particular room. Before I actually get started talking about this room, you have to go over a brief safety announcement. We should have to evacuate this room for any reason. Our primary route of evacuation is just the way you guys came up those stairs, except you'll be going back down and back up to the tram. Now, if you have special needs that require you to use an elevator, or you cannot descend the stairs, I ask you please stay with me in case of emergency, and I'll be the one to get you some assistance. Now, if that route is closed off just for any reason, there's a secondary evacuation route located on that side of the room. And with that said, folks, please allow me to officially welcome you to the white flight control room, the white figure. Now, before I actually get started talking about this room and some of the stuff that's taken place here in this room, I want to go over a brief history lesson with you guys. The facility you're taking a tour of now is known as the Johnson Space Center, but was not always known as such. In fact, this facility began its life in 1965 as the Manned Space Flight Center. It was in a change in the late 70s. And in 1965, in April of that year, we controlled the first mission to ever be controlled from this building. That mission was Gemini 4. Now, it wasn't controlled out of this room, folks. It was actually controlled out of a room that's located on the north side of this building that's known as Mocher 2. In that room fell history. From that room, we controlled 9 of the Gemini missions, all the manned Apollo missions, and 21 of the first space shuttle missions ever flown. Now, that room remained active up until 1995. And at that time, the room was shut down. And this room that you see behind you came online. They controlled the past 65 shuttle missions, all the way from 77 all the way up to STS-135, which was the last flight of the shuttle program. Now, folks, this room that you see before you may not be in what is considered active use anymore, but we still use this room today to help train well, not our astronauts, but our flight controllers, and also to use it as a backup control room for, well, this control room that you see on the TV screen here. Another one of our active mission control rooms here in this facility. If you were to head out this door and go over a couple of hallways, you'd find yourself in that room. And that room is actually known as Flight Control Room 1 or FICR 1. FICR 1 is manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Now, the reason why FICR 1 is actually manned 24/7 is because it is our International Space Station Mission Control Room. And we always have someone on board the ISS. Now, currently on board that orbiting laboratory, we actually have 6 astronauts, 3 Russian cosmonauts, 2 American astronauts, and 1 Japanese astronaut are currently on board the International Space Station. working diligently with the experiments on board. Now some of you may be wondering, well, with the end of the shuttle program, what are you guys doing now? Is NASA closing down or shutting down? Well, folks, let me go ahead and say now. The end of the shuttle program is just merely the end of a chapter in our history here at NASA, and we're embarking on a new one. The basic day-to-day functions, everything from making sure that the International Space Station stays in orbit to making sure that there's air to breathe and the lights are on, are controlled right here from Houston. And the ISS is going to be in orbit, well, up until 2035. And here at NASA, we're preparing for the next generation of spaceflight technology, the Orion capsule, which first